So I decided to read through Jude. Would not have been able to read through Job in an hour. No, it would have taken me more time than that. But I read Jude. Now I think I'm going to study Jude this summer. And how I typically go into a Bible study is like I read the section I'm going to study. I read it through, and then I go back and I kind of look at what stuck out to me. And then I go a little bit more in depth about that passage. Because Jude is so short, I just read the whole book. It's literally a page and a half. I'm pretty sure. I can probably show you all. I got my bookmark in my Bible. It's in the New Testament. I believe it is the book right before Revelations. Yeah, it's right after John's letters. So there is Jude. It is just a page. I'm pretty sure a page and a half, y'all. Yep. So I read the whole thing. And then I went back to see what stuck out to me. And that's kind of where I feel God speaking to me. When I read through a text and something really like sticks out to me, I'm like, okay, God, you're speaking. So I go back and I look at that text more in depth and I see like what God is saying to me. Out to me was the purpose of why Jude was writing this letter. So Jude, from what I understood, is a brother of Jesus Christ. He says that he is a brother of James. And then when I went to look back on who James was a brother of Christ. Same mother, different fathers. And I think that Jude is also a brother of Christ. I think that he has the same mother as Jesus, different father. Obviously, because we know who was Jesus' father? God. Joseph was his stepfather. So these kids are sons of Joseph. All right, and so he talks about why he wanted to write this letter. And he says that he wanted to write it about the salvation that he shared with us. That was what he wanted. He was eager to write it and just talk about like, hey, we all share this same salvation. But he found it necessary to write appealing to us to contend for the faith that was delivered to the saints once for all. So that is why he ended up writing it, to appeal to the faith that was delivered to the saints once for all. So he wanted us to appeal to us. He wanted to appeal to us to contend for the faith. So automatically I'm like, all right, if this is what sticks out to me, God, what does contend mean? What does it mean to contend? So I Googled it. I do that sometimes. I think I learned that through this Bible study that I was a part of, BSF, if y'all have heard of it, Bible Study Fellowship. That was one of the things they would have us do often, was to Google words and to see like, what does that word mean? Literally, what's the definition of it? To contend for something. And so I looked into it. What I found was that it meant to strive or to vie, to contend, or rivalry against difficulties. To struggle. Be willing to struggle for what we believe. Oh, what a struggle king. That's what I wrote. Oh yeah, Jude, I know exactly what you are talking about. The struggle. The struggle's real, y'all. And the struggle for our faith is real. So I am excited to dig into this book. I'm excited because it's a short book, so therefore I can dig deep. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't, it's harder to dig deep into long books like Job, because you want to get through it. So, you can only go so far. But when you pick a small book of the Bible, like Jude, you can dig into Jude. You can dig. So I'm excited. I'm very excited. And I was encouraged today to understand, like, a lot of times walking with Christ does feel like a struggle. And sometimes we see that as we're doing something wrong. We see that as like, oh, am I not walking with Christ? Like, am I on a different path? Like, but this encouragement from Jude actually tells us that, like, he's encouraging us to struggle for the faith. Like, to contend against difficulties. Keep walking with God. Keep remembering the gospel. And I love that he says that it is a gospel of faith that was delivered to the saints once for all. Who are the saints that Jude is probably talking about? I imagine, I'm going to dig deep into this, y'all, but I imagine he's talking about the disciples. I imagine he's talking about Jesus's disciples, the apostles. Like, they are the ones who received the gospel. They are the ones who received the faith. And it never changes. That same gospel that they received is the same gospel that we have. That's pretty remarkable, that the gospel of Jesus Christ has never changed. People have tried to come and change it. People have tried to put stipulations on it. But they don't last. But what does last is the faith that was delivered to the saints once for all of us. Once for all of us, y'all. That was really encouraging to me. And you talk about a struggle. Those saints struggled, y'all. So I don't know why we think that our walks, the faith that we have, would be a walk in the park. Prosperity gospel. Why do you think you won't have trouble? Why do we think that life will be easy? No. It's actually against difficulties. It's a contending